Now, it's AM 650's The Law Show, a comprehensive look at everything you need to know about the law. Now, here's Sterling Fox.
Well, good morning and welcome to The Law Show here on AM 650. It's nice to have you with us this Sunday morning, and we're going to talk family law with our guests in studio from Henderson Heinrichs in Vancouver. We have two lawyers from the firm, Shalina Sayani and Sonia Kainth are with us. Shalina, welcome.
Thank you.
Sonia, hello.
Hi.
Nice to see you both. Shalina, you're the senior member of this duo today. You've been at it a little bit longer than Sonia, so we'll start with you because you have, in addition, you're both lawyers and you're both associates at Henderson Heinrichs, but you have you've acquired some credentials over the years, and our program today, friends, is going to be all about collaborative law. We're going to talk about mediation and arbitration, basically legal maneuvers short of going to court and the old gunfight, and that's really, it's not passé, is it, Shalina? It's just not preferred these days, is it?
No, it's a different outcome. It's a preferred outcome for some people to stay away from court. And so the training that I've done over the years has helped me to help people stay out of court. So sometimes court is the only option for people, and we can talk about that more later.
Sure, yeah.
But the new Family Law Act especially codifies and encourages people to stay out of court and gives them various different options. So my training has been in collaborative law, mediation, parenting coordination, family law arbitration, and anything and everything to stay out of court. So it's kind of fun. It's different. Every family is different. So almost every solution is different because there's no one solution fits all.
And Sonia, you're newer to the firm.
That's right.
But you're also you enjoy the whole collaborative approach. It's kind of up your alley too, as it is with Shalina, right?
That's right.
So did you, when you were in school, thinking about practicing law down the road, was family law uppermost in your mind in terms of, well, I think I'd like to go there?
Always.
Really?
Always. Before I went to law school, I actually did my degree in education. So I had in mind that I was going to be a teacher.
Okay.
But when I graduated, they had laid off like crazy number of teachers, so I couldn't get a job. So then I went back to school and I was focusing on counseling psychology. So when I applied to law school, I also applied to counseling psych. And I got into both, but counseling psych is only a one-year program. Mm-hmm. So I figured, law school's 3 years, get that out of the way, and then if I want to go back, I could do that. And then during the course of law school, I learned about, obviously, family law, and then the different approaches that you can take within family law,
right,
which are very much similar to the counseling psych aspect of what, interested me in the first place.
Right. So for a person who wanted to sort of leaning towards academia and then psychology, always though working with young people and families, suddenly in law school you discover there's a whole area of the law that focuses completely on just that.
That's right. Yeah. So it was a natural fit for me.
And Shalina, now you've been around a little bit longer, and we'll talk about the new Family Law Act in British Columbia, which has just celebrated its first birthday a few weeks ago. But what was it that drew you to family law originally?
So I've always been interested in family law. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a social worker.
Okay.
Or a kindergarten teacher. So my mom said, that's fine, but you can go do a law degree, and then if you still want to be a social worker or a teacher, go for it. But you need a solid base to work from. So you can just do more good, at a higher level. It was her theory at that point.
Interesting. So I wonder how many other would-be teachers there are in the legal profession. I'll bet you quite a few.
I think there is quite a few.
Yeah.
You can be one of those, but get a law degree first, and then we'll talk about
That's the Indian blood coming through.
Whatever thing it is you think you want to do. So let's talk about the Family Law Act. March last year, 2013, it became the new law in British Columbia. As is the case with a lot of new law, it's a work in progress. Judges are still trying to figure out all the details. How is it impacting the family law practice in British Columbia? Has it changed anything, or does it mostly, Shalina, just recognize trends that were already well underway?
I think that's what it's done. I think it's recognized everything that was happening and that we were all as lawyers seeing. It was seeing that court processes aren't always just the right way to go. The courts were overwhelmed. Their delays are just incredible. Each family is different, and as I said, the Act gives people various different options to explore with their clients coming in. But the thing about working at Henderson Heinrichs, we've always done that.
Right.
So this was kind of almost, we're doing the right thing. This is great. So,
but this is the way Henderson Heinrichs has operated. Rain Henderson and Kevin Heinrichs were our guests last month on the Law Show, and basically said that about one of the ethics that has driven them since they formed the firm well over 10 years ago now, was the fact that they wanted to help people, and they wanted to be in a position to see people through an episode of their lives from beginning to end.
That's right.
And sometimes, Sonia, that doesn't take. It takes more than a few weeks. It can go on for months or years even.
That's right. Especially like if the track is litigation and you're going to go to court, that could be, we've had some files that have been running for over 5 years.
Oh yeah.
And so just because things keep getting delayed and people are not, participating, people are refusing to respond to stuff, disclose documents, and all of that kind of stuff. So that is like the benefit of working collaboratively with someone, is because you come to the table with a common goal to get this done in a timely manner, and you're not restricted to court dates, courts, deadlines, or anything like that. So it makes the process a lot smoother in some respects.
Right. Even before the new act a year ago now, Shalina, what percentage of people, and ballpark it for me, I know it's difficult, but what percentage of people involved in these marital dissolutions and disputes actually ended up in court versus those who went the collaborative route?
That's a really good question. So statistically, I haven't got a clue, but what I can tell you is out of the people that would come to our office, we would give them all the options. We would tell them, you can go to litigation, you can go to mediation, you can do collaborative, you can do some kind of hybrid in between.
Right.
But we know that statistically, even court things that start with a court action, the formalized, hey, I'm taking you to court, I want a divorce, I'm going to take the house, I'm going to take the kids, your traditional everything in the kitchen sink, right?
You're skint, buddy.
That's right. If you had nothing before, I'm taking half of that.
Right.
You serve the court papers, you go down that road, and you will find then, and historically, about 90% of those files settle.
Oh, interesting.
So they'll go through.
So it's the motion, it's the process of generating the divorce papers.
That's right.
That causes, maybe we don't want a gunfight at the OK Corral necessarily. Even if this thing is over, it can be resolved a little more quietly and a little less spectacularly than a court fight.
Absolutely. But some people need that. Some people need that kickstart. They need
to be scared.
Sure.
They need to be scared that it's actually going to go ahead, because some people are just in denial.
Right.
And so they just put it off. And so, the filing of the initial court papers just kind of triggers the process that, like, okay, this is serious. We really need to consider what it is that we want and how this is going to go.
Right. Talk to us a little bit about the differences in terminology. And I know this might sound like I'm splitting hairs, but I'd appreciate a definition if you could. And we'll start with you, Shalina. In the area of collaborative law, you've alluded to mediation and arbitration. Are those the two areas? Is there a third? And what do they mean? What's the difference between each of them?
Okay, so collaborative divorce is a completely different model in and of itself. So collaborative divorce is a no-court approach.
Okay.
So that's the fundamental difference. You will not go to court while you are in a collaborative process. So usually how a collaborative file starts, somebody will come in, they'll know a little bit of information maybe from the collaborative divorce website, one of their friends has been in the process, or a therapist has recommended they come and see a collaborative lawyer.
Okay.
Or they're just in our office getting information about different things. So I'll often say to them, look, we can try this collaboratively. We can send out a letter to your ex saying, hey, so-and-so has come to see us. We understand these are the issues. You want to deal with your children. You want to deal with support. You want to deal with property. You want to deal with vacation schedules, everything. And we invite that person to visit the collaborative divorce website and pick a collaborative trained lawyer, and then respond to our letter within, maybe 2 to 3 weeks to give them some time.
So if we're going into this whole new area of law that's collaborative in nature,
yes,
and we're going to seek legal counsel, Sonia, you are a trained collaborative lawyer.
That's right.
But not every lawyer who's in family law practice is collaboratively trained, correct?
That's right. So basically, in order to be a collaborative or practicing collaborative lawyer, you have to go through the training.
Right.
And it's typically a 2-day training that you go through to get the initial certification. And then there are requirements that you have to attend various X number of hours. I can't remember off the top of my head how many hours you have to
upgrade sessions and so on.
Yeah, and so you're continually learning because processes change, methods change,
and the law changes.
And the law changes, and that's exactly right. So this is why when we say we recommend clients to go and seek opposing parties to go and seek collaborative lawyers, we refer them to the website because those people are trained. They have received that
designation.
That designation.
Okay.
And then there are some people that advertise that they take a collaborative approach to family law.
And
which
so
is
now I'm not splitting hairs.
No,
this is important to note, that if you're in this sort of romantic mess and you've got the end of a relationship and you're looking to deal with it in a civilized adult fashion, and the collaborative approach is appealing to you, and you start looking around and doing a little investigation, it's important to note right from the get-go that if you're going to need a collaboratively trained lawyer,
That's right.
not a lawyer who has some kind of leaning or inclination towards the collaborative approach. That's not good enough, and it won't pass the test of the courts in getting things done officially, will it?
Well, it will. A lawyer that takes a collaborative approach, might have all of the skills to help the parties, to negotiate a settlement, which any other lawyer would be able to do.
Sure, yeah.
Right. But the benefit of having a collaboratively trained lawyer is that the biggest difference, as I think Shalina mentioned, was that the parties have to sign a participation agreement.
Right.
If you're not collaboratively trained, you wouldn't know that that's what you had to do.
Oh, okay.
So the rules around the file moving forward are going to be different, because a lawyer that's taking the collaborative approach, it's basically same like a litigation file. So it's not that
there's no safety net. There's
no
guarantee
safety net. There's no restrictions.
Won't start.
Right.
And that's one of the most important things for a proper collaborative file. Once the participation agreement is signed, none of the lawyers in that room are going to be threatening legal action against the other.
Is this part of the new Family Law Act then, Shalina?
The collaborative
the whole matter of, okay, we're going to do this like grown-ups. We're going to go through a collaborative process, and we're going to get it done. And part of the agreement is that while we're going through this process, we're not going to threaten each other with court action. There will be no court action.
That's all set out in the participation agreement.
Right. Now, is that part of the new law? Is that part of the new deal here in BC, or has it always been that way?
It's always been that way for the collaborative.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it gives people this sense of comfort and this sense of safety that while they're negotiated and something happens and they run into a roadblock, the next day somebody's not going to go out and serve you with court papers.
Right.
You're going to work through this mess. You're going to work through with professionals. So the collaborative, you've got your lawyers, which is wonderful.
Right.
Then you've got an access to a whole team of specialists. You've got your child specialists. You've got your divorce coaches. And you've got your financial specialists.
Yep.
Because it's not just about a divorce. It's your whole life is coming to an end
Absolutely.
as you know it. It's a transition.
Right.
So as much as, we're social workers at heart and want to be teachers at heart, we don't know everything. We like to pretend that we do.
Right.
But with the collaborative team approach, when your client's really struggling with something and they're stuck. And that because you've done the training and you know what the divorce coaches have value to offer in terms of that emotional aspect. They can call us. We're going to charge them $400 an hour to talk to us and listen to them cry.
Right.
But a more effective solution is if they go to a divorce coach who can help them through that emotional aspect and the devastation and that loss and that grieving. And that give them hope, because there is going to be life beyond this divorce.
I have to tell you that I've never heard of a divorce coach before. Is this new, Sonia?
I think they've always been there, but I think in terms of family law, it's a new resource to people.
Okay.
Because this is like the benefit of the collaborative process is that because we've received the training, we are able to recognize when someone is stuck because emotionally they haven't been able to move on.
Right.
And so for us, the first thing that we think about is like, we need to bring someone in to help them move along. Because like Shalina said, we as lawyers are trained to be lawyers. We're not trained to be therapists or counselors. Even though a lot of our family law job requires us to do that. But like she said, it's going to cost them a lot more money.
I was just going to say,
maybe not $400 because I don't charge $400.
No, but a pretty safe bet that legal fees are going to be more than counseling fees.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so a divorce coach, like if you bring in a divorce coach, their hourly rate's going to be a lot less.
Okay.
And they have that specific training to help them deal with the emotions that they're going through in that moment.
Okay.
Whereas we, as much as we can say like, it's sad and it sucks that it's, it broke down and that, so-and-so cheated on you or whatever it is. Mentally speaking, we don't know or have the training to know what it is that's going to help them move past that.
Right.
Which is the benefit of bringing in a specialist.
Divorce coaches.
Yeah.
And they are specifically trained for separation and divorce. And the coaches that are part of the roster are incredible. And
so these are recognized by the courts as
specialists,
as professionals who can contribute in a positive way to the process.
And a lot of them are like psychologists, psychologists.
Oh, sure, you think so?
Yeah.
And you can have a one divorce coach model, or you can have two. So if things are really, really bad with a high conflict family that still want to do this collaboratively, you can require, as part of the participation agreement and part of your collaborative process, you customize it and you say, okay, we'll help you through this as your lawyers, but each of you need a divorce coach.
Okay.
Each of you need to go and do some work first with your divorce coaches, and then we can work on the other piece. And often, because it's such a high conflict file, the voice of the child gets lost.
Right, of course.
So there are child specialists that we have access to, who, again, their role can be customized as to what do we need from them, what do the children need from them. Because often kids are going to tell their parents what their parents want to hear. They don't want to make anybody unhappy.
Right.
Yes, I want time with mom. Yes, I want time with dad. They will tell each of them what they want to hear. So as lawyers, you're stuck. You're like, okay, who's telling the truth? And it's not we're trained not to believe anything anybody says and do this, as opposed to bringing people together.
You know, the sad part about kids, and I think you're quite right too, Shalina, kids will say anything. And the really awful part about this on the part of children is a lot of times children will say what they think the grown-ups want to hear because they see it as their job to try and get mom and dad back together.
Absolutely.
And they fail if that doesn't happen, and they just wear this incredible guilt in addition to all the other stuff that's going on. Somehow or another, for a lot of kids, this is all happening because I'm here. And if only I can say the right thing to make it better, everybody will be happy again.
Right.
That's awful.
And it's too much stress for anybody. I mean, the adults, adults get married, marriages break down. It's really sad.
Right.
But the people that are really caught in the crossfire are the children.
Right.
And I think this is why I got into this originally, is we may close our files as lawyers 6 months, a year or two later, but you've got transitions that are happening twice a week, every second weekend.
Sure.
And what are the kids going through? And part of the collaborative training is to make it better. Yes, they're separating now. Yes, this is a transition piece, but let's get this family to a place where they can do transitions and exchanges successfully, positively, happily. And while people think they'll never ever be able to have a civilized conversation or even look at this person ever again because they are so angry and they're so devastated by the loss, the divorce coaches and child specialists work with them to teach them a new way. So it's a better post relationship situation than often was at the end of the marriage. They're often healthier and happier at the end of the process because they've learned a new way to communicate.
Because that's a good point. Like the benefit of the collaborative process is they actually help people learn to communicate. Yep. I mean, like a lot of the times people come in and they say, oh, so-and-so didn't tell me this, and they don't talk to me ever, and I just had to find it on my own. And so they're not communicating in advance of their breakup anyways.
Right.
And so going through the collaborative process, they learn how to communicate with each other. And then especially like if there's kids involved, and Shalina, this, like a lot of times parents go to the kids and say, so Jimmy, what do you want to do today? Do you want to stay with mommy or whatever? And so they draw in the children in these inappropriate conversations, not realizing that they shouldn't be doing that. And so then a child specialist can come up and say, one of the issues is that you keep asking the child what they want and they don't feel comfortable answering that.
That's right.
And until they hear it in that sort of environment, they don't really understand that that's not appropriate.
We're talking family law on this edition of The Law Show. Our guests from Henderson Heinrichs in Vancouver, family lawyers Shalina Sayani and Sonia Kainth. Lots more still ahead on this edition of the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is AM 650's The Law Show. There's more of the show still ahead.